actually started going to a Christian Science Sunday school when I was about 5 years old. And I learned about the ideas that are in science and health from that Sunday school. But I didn't really make it my own and love it the way I do now until I was probably, I would say, my late teens, early 20s, from all sorts of different experiences, from having had physical challenges to personal relationship issues, that I really made the effort to study the book, learn the ideas, and made them so important to me that healing took place. The ideas about, a new concept of God for me was just really very special. I had been a runner, and at one point I had an injury to one of my knees after a race, and it seemed like I wasn't recovering from that. Now, I had been studying Christian Science for a while, but maybe not as avidly as I am now at the time. And I actually decided to go and seek medical help for this. And the physician that I saw basically told me that I will probably always be suffering from this pain in my knee, and there was not much he could do. He said surgery might help alleviate it, but it was not guaranteed. I went through some physical therapy and realized there was no progress, and decided I need to go back to what I knew was reliable, and spent a good amount of time studying both the Bible and the ideas that Mrs. Eddy has about the Bible. And so healing came gradually, but it came permanently, and I've been running ever since, and there's no pain and no injury at all, and this is over 10 years ago. But I would say that for many, many years I was uncomfortable with the idea of learning about Mary Baker Eddy. I felt that the books she wrote, Science and Health, and many of her other writings were wonderful and inspiring, but I didn't feel like I really needed to know more about Mrs. Eddy specifically. I honored the work she did, but I didn't feel there was such a need to know about her or her life that much. And over the years, I've learned to appreciate her more for her diligence, her perseverance, and the challenges she had during her discovery and how she established the church and so forth. But I would say that actually very recently I had what I would call more of a real permanent shift in my thinking about Mary Baker Eddy. I'd been struggling with a physical challenge. I'd had an injury that was pretty alarming, and I was in quite a bit of pain actually physically. And I'd been studying Christian Science. Through Christian Science, I've been studying Science and Health in the Bible to get some inspiration. There was some alleviation of the pain, but I knew that I need to dig deeper and to really get closer to God. And as I kept studying, the idea came to me to actually go back and read one of the biographies of Mrs. Eddy. And they're actually a collection of stories from the early workers that worked for Mary Baker Eddy. And one of the stories started out in the book saying, those who may read this may actually have a different view of Mrs. Eddy, may actually have a healing as the outcome of the reading. And that really piqued my interest. And I ended up staying up the entire night and read the entire book. And halfway through the book, I realized to me that I had been entertaining this false idea about Mrs. Eddy, that what I needed to cherish was really how she had lived her life, and that the way she lived her life was with such an abundance and a genuine love for mankind and for all those that came into her experience, that it was important for us to know about Mrs. Eddy's experience, for us to really have that tangible example in our lives that we could model. And as a result, at the end of reading the book, the one idea that stayed with me probably more than anything else about her life was how Mrs. Eddy loved. And I had Jesus' example, but now really seeing the way Mrs. Eddy loved made a huge difference. And within, I would say, a couple of days, the injury that I'd sustained and the pain that I had completely shifted. I was able to go back to all my normal activities, and it was just so exciting for me. It was really, really exciting. The wonderful thing about the ideas that Mrs. Eddy has and shares in all her writings, including Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, is that this God that she is sharing with us and teaching us about in this book is a God for all mankind. And, our Master Jesus Christ taught us that there is, through the Lord's Prayer, that it is our Father, which art in heaven. And I feel that having this greater concept of God's, I guess we could say parenting or fathering or mothering of us is not just for each of us individually, but it really is broadened out and expanded to every one of God's children. And as a result of that, I think it's made me love so much more diversity, those that are in different cultures, that have different beliefs. It's made me want to listen so much more, as opposed to think that I can share something with them, but listen to what they can share with me. And I love that Christian Science and the ideas that are in Science and Health keep linking us together. The ideas keep opening the idea of brotherhood and sisterhood, as opposed to dividing us. And I feel that that's healing, and we need that in the world today. We need those healing ideas. I would just say that Christian Science has been, without a doubt, for me, and the study of Science and Health in the Bible, life-transforming. I don't think I could say I would express as much joy and freedom in my life, and for my two daughters as well, as I would have if I'd not been studying Christian Science, or if I did not have these wonderful truths in my life right now. So I'm immensely grateful for all the benefits and the blessings that keep coming every day.